last name.
Okay, David Calderon. I Am More is the short film. It's 3 minutes long. It's an animation film. It's got oh my God, this is a stunning film. It's got a huge, it's just like, it just really kind of makes you want to watch it a few times, in which I did. Let me ask you right off the bat, because it's like tone wise, it's got some dark tendencies. Of course, it's got some very dark themes, but it's very about body confidence in young women. So it's almost like a film for kids, you know what I'm saying? But it's got these dark themes. Like when you guys were setting out to make the film tone wise, who was your audience? I'm just curious. Did you just made it for love and you didn't think about that?
Yeah. So the story behind the film was that is this actually the first film that we did as a studio, as a company. And when we set out to do our first film, we kind of wanted to do something personal. And so this is basically almost like a personal project out of love that we did. And the main inspiration of this is my little sister. When I was living in Mexico back in, I don't know, like 2015, 2016, she had some issues with like body confidence. She went through a little bulimia stage. And it was like at the time when I was living in Mexico, I remember being like a very vivid experience and something that it really resonated with me and it stuck with me. And when we were trying to come up with ideas for the film, this story of my personal life came to my mind, and that was kind of like the catalyst of the film in itself. And it's definitely dark because it's I would say it's a very emotionally charged piece.
Hmm.
But I think it's just something that a lot of audience and pretty much everybody can relate to. You know, we all have that inner voice that is always kind of like telling us like the darkest things that we think about ourselves. So we thought it would be something that not just necessarily resonates with girls or like dancers or people, but also with anybody, because we all have that, you know, kind of like demon inside of us telling us,
Yeah.
you know, that we're not good enough or we
Oh,
don't deserve that. So
it's a universal film for sure. Well, I guess what I'm asking is that, do you think kids can watch this film?
100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. Especially like teenagers. I think
Yeah.
it's you know, since you become self-aware, you know, when you're like a teenager, you're very self-aware. So I think this is especially good for kids or for teenagers. Like I think, and hopefully, like you know, the film has like a positive message at the end, but at the same time, you know, in order to come out into the light, you need to confront the darkness first, right? So it's almost like you gotta face those like dark voices inside of you before you can see the light. So I would say that it would be suitable for kids. Maybe not, you know, not as fun as a cartoon or something more lighthearted, but I would
Yeah.
definitely see some value for some kids to watch this.
All right, so I'm going to talk about the ending. There's a stat that you leave at the end, which is, you hear a lot. I watch a lot of films, obviously, and I see a lot of a lot of stats. But this one kind of got to me because it's something more. There's like nuance to this stat, meaning that it's not like you know, 3 out of 4 doctors like recommend this fluoride kind of thing. So you basically say 6 out of 10 girls are now choosing not to do something they love because they don't think they look good enough. So basically, it's sort of like 3 out of 5. So 60% of girls, according to this stat, are choosing not to do something they love,
Mm.
which is kind of heartbreaking in a way. But you know what? Somebody who's got kids and kind of seeing the navigation of females, I really 100% believe this stat. Just even it starts very young, where like it's like they don't, almost like they get a complex of what they love, if that
Mm.
makes any sense, because it's like because there's so much judgment coming their way.
Yeah.
That makes sense to you.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I would say like this statistics, we did a lot of research when we wrote the film. This is back in 2017, so it's like it has some, you know, a couple years behind the construction of this film. So I'm not sure if the stats still holds, but
Yeah.
we, you know, consulted a bunch of like you know, scientific papers. We also at the time I remember like one of our main inspirations was the campaigns the brand Dove was putting out, and they had like a whole campaign about like girl self-confidence.
Yeah,
But one of the things that stood out to me was that um, in that style they encompass activities that you will normally don't associate with like the way that you look. But like they were saying, like sometimes girls didn't want to like stand up in class to play an instrument or to read a poem or to participate in class because they were just self-aware of how they were look how they look at that time. So in the film we portrayed as like a dancer, which is like the looks of a dancer are more like in front and center, but
yeah,
there are other activities that are more like you don't think that you should care if you're a poet or you want to write something that if you don't look good enough, it will make you self-aware. But it really stood out to me that maybe some girls don't participate in class because they just don't feel comfortable the way that they look that day, or they're
yeah.
just want to be seen by other people, and those kind of like that was a very interesting like idea that I came across personally.
Yeah, no, no, listen, like dance is like fun, right? But they're like in these dance studios in a general sense. I'm not taking a shot at all of them, but there's dysfunction. And basically like someone who experiences it with his own children, the dance kind of world and the ballet world, is that they kind of make them all look the same in the competitions, right? And that's like psychologically it's an interesting element because it's like, but it's like, don't they just shouldn't they just like dance and have fun and kind of like learn the art of the discipline? Like I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of benefits to dance, right? Like in terms of disciplining a group of people getting together to do one kind of competitive dance, and like there's that unity, right? It's almost like a sporting for sport. I'm not saying men and female, but most, like, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's a lot of positives to it, but then the dysfunction is that, yeah, it's all about the body. Even it starts so young in a kind of creepy way. It
Mhm.
really does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely obviously like I cannot speak from experience because
Sure.
as a guy like I didn't went through that process, but like I said, like the just like seeing my sister going through that process when I was like younger
Yeah.
and seeing how that affected her life and our life as a family and how we were trying to help her and talk to her about like the issue, it
Yeah.
really like stood with me, and I thought it would like we wanted to make, at least personally, I wanted to make a film that had some sort of like emotional, personal connection, and
Yeah.
hopefully that shows in the end result because I feel when you do something out of passion and it means something to you, that's when you do your best creative work.
So okay, so the ending has a positive light, but you're not telling the audience what to feel or think. It's just my perspective because it's all kind of black and white in its general tone and style, right? The animation, very like blackness and then with white. And then you kind of give us a little bit of not full color, but you kind of give us a little bit of color in the end, right? With her kind of look, and she looks, your main character looks at the audience, looks at us, and kind of like there's a positive vibe in her soul, I guess, right? Did
Mhm.
you want to end the film in a positive way?
Yeah, we did because this is actually the original plan was this to be just like the intro teaser for a longer short film that we were producing at the time.
Yeah,
That project got put in the back burner, but the idea was to use this teaser as almost like introduce the concept, the idea, the character, and then in the longer short film, we were gonna develop more. Who is this girl? What is her story behind, like the dancing lessons and all
gotcha.
that kind of stuff? And the film was actually going to be more in color. So some of the concept art that we have for the piece, it's more developed like the characters in color. We have like other characters. We
Mm,
developed her family, her friends, her school, all this other. So originally the idea was for this film to just be like an intro teaser for this other, like
gotcha.
almost like another story that we had prepared for.
So yeah, so we don't have to say when it's made, but it's an older film than what we usually play at the festival, but it's just so great. I have to play it.
Okay.
What motivated you to like to send to us our festival, like, after a few years to get it out there?
I feel like we never really like made justice to the film or promoting it as much as we should. We saw it almost as as an exercise for us to challenge ourselves with our creativity. But once we finished the project, I remember we presented it at an event. It was like a women's conference at the Microsoft building here in Vancouver. But then after that, we kind of like just got busy with other stuff, and then we just forgot to promote the film. And just recently, a couple months ago, we hired a new marketing manager. And like when she saw the film, I was like, "Hey, we need to promote this. Like, this is
Yeah.
so great. Like, why you haven't like submitted to festivals or like do other things?" So we kind of took her word and kind of like rekindled the project. And now we're even like considering, you know, actually developing that original film idea that we originally had.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was mainly just basically a lack of promotion that we had initially on the
Gotcha.
film.
Yeah, so then, well, I think it's a great idea. Of course, it costs a little bit of money to get it out there, but if there wasn't for that person, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Exactly.
So
Yes, yes. Andrea, yeah, a really good shout out for Andrea, our marketing director.
yeah, you got to get like, cause there's like you said that it will get you more views on your YouTube channel. It will like, it's just like, it's such an organic way. And sometimes you get a little bit, I get it too, right? Where you get a little bit scared of marketing and these marketing people because it's not cheap and you don't know what the result is, right? Because it's kind of an organic process in a strange
Mhm.
way.
Yeah, exactly. And also it was like a lot of like things we just didn't know how to promote our films and how
Yeah,
to do the things because this is like, our first film, like as I mentioned. So it is good now that we're learning how to do this so we can promote more our stories, our films. And yeah, really appreciate the fact that we're having these conversations about a film that we did a few years ago, and which is really great.
yeah, and your YouTube channel is picking up traction. The views are picking up, right? So it all kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
And so now you got now. Do you want to make a larger version of this film? Like, is that your motive? I know it's like this takes a long time. Like the way you
Yes.
animate, it's not easy, right?
Yeah, well, we always at Animagic we always have like internal projects that we're always doing, and I would say like this is a project like the way that I like to think of projects is that I like projects like this, they're never finished. They're just abandoned for a little bit. And then
Yep.
you can just come back to them and then you can add more to the project. So this is one of the stories or one of the projects that I feel it could be in the portfolio or in the back. Well, it could be in our portfolio for a long time. And we are considering now like what other short films we can do. We just finished a new short film that we're promoting right now. It's called Canelo. And it is possible that we can pick this up and continue the production because we already have so much. We had like a first script, we have some concept art, we have the character designs, we have a lot of work that was kind of put on halt after we finished this project because we got busy with other stuff.
Yeah. 100%. So, and so tell me about this. What's the style of this animation? What's the exact style called?
This is all like frame by frame animation, classic, very old school, very
Yeah.
tedious style of animation. For this particular project, we use like the classic frame by frame animation on a software called Toon Boom that is kind of like an industry standard for like 2D
Yeah.
animation. But because we wanted it to make it very stylized, we also put like every frame into Photoshop and then we added things on Photoshop
Okay.
frame by frame with brushes and stuff like that. So it's very crafty, the style of animation. But yeah, we wanted to do like a homage to the old school classic frame by frame animation that we
Yeah.
like. But at the same time, one of the reasons why we did it in black and white is because it simplifies the production process. You don't have to deal with many colors and many shades, and that
Yeah.
simplifies a little bit the process of production.
There's some purple in the mix, I guess, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the movie in the action just doesn't stop. It's constant movement, constant kind of like artistic visuals of like where she's gonna go. The frame, you move back, you move up, you know what I mean? Like it's like and you kind of like that there's the element of like, that like that white purple color at the end. You kind of tease the audience a little bit. There's like a couple seconds where like there's the moment of like I guess it's like she's in the zone. She's like
Yeah.
there's contentment, there's happiness in her life, right? Where she's dancing. when there's nobody's watching, there's no judgment, I guess, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad that you picked that up because that was exactly what was going through her mind when, especially when she's, I think like this shot when she opens up her arms and they're like wings, and then she
Yeah.
goes from like darkness into like white. That's almost like when you're in the zone and when you're doing something that you love, you forget about all this judgments and that inner voice that is telling you that you're not good at doing things. So that was definitely something that we wanted to portray visually, and that transition, that moment of transition, it was exactly that.
Yeah.
That was the idea behind it.
Yeah, just to go back to what we were talking about before, it's like that's what the girls just want to dance, or boys just want to dance, right?
Yeah.
Um, and basically like and then it becomes like a visual medium, I guess. They get judged by who they are, not what how they dance. It's like, yeah, that's what your film's about. It's just nuts. So then you go into the kind of assembly line of girls or assembly line of dancers. Tell me about that idea to show that sequence.
I think you kind of mentioned a little bit about this earlier when, in the dance world, I remember when we were working on this, I interviewed a couple dancers and we were just having conversations and how, like it's very uniform. Like you go to see like a ballet and everybody looks kind of like the same.
Yeah.
And that kind of that idea played kind of nicely to the unfortunate idea that sometimes we judge girls by, it's almost like they're just bodies, they're just like kind of mannequins, right? So we build this kind of dark scene where you see all these bodies just hanging through like
Hmm.
uh and that's an allegory of that exactly, how like sometimes society portrays girls as just bodies, right? Instead of like seeing that person for their entire personality. It's not just your body who makes you, but also like your personality, your passions, your talents, like all these things that makes a person. Sometimes they got forgotten, and then you just kind of like see this person as a shell. And that was kind of like the idea behind that scene, that it was quite dark in that sense, but that's kind of the main reason behind it.
Yeah, 100%. Well, yeah, it's really effective. Let's just put it that way. Your film, it's like very effective. So tell me about okay, so you got some voiceover, Brittany Audrey is your voiceover, and then so tell me about that and then your music and your sound design, because it's so well done. So tell me about
Mm.
that process. Did you kind of have the music down before you started drawing? Like what was the process? Or did you just draw and then come with the sound design afterwards?
Yeah, so for the most part of the film, we work with like temp music to create the animatic and some of the rough versions of the film. And then once we lock the animatic, we have, okay, these are all the actions that we want to have. Then we got Tim Morrish on board. Tim Morrish, he's a composer based in London. And I met it through some friends that recommended it to be, and we started talking about the film. He really liked the idea, the concept, and he built this beautiful piece of music for it.
Hmm.
And then and then after we got the music, for the longest time on the piece, it was just my voice, kind of like narrating everything that was happening. And then Brittany came into the picture where one of my friends introduced me to her, and then she kind of like saw the film and really liked it, and basically volunteered to help us with. And it was a lot of like, because at the time we're like bootstrapping all this process. We were like, just
Hmm.
okay, let's try to do it with friends and people that I know. And so the process of like the music, it was through Tim. We did hire him for this. We did pay for the music, since it was like such a big ask to do like this for free. But our friend Brittany, she just volunteered and said like, this is an important topic. I really want this film to be made. So I just want to like, I'll do it for free for you guys to be able to do it. And she did like a really amazing performance. I think like she really hones down the emotion behind the voiceover,
Yeah.
and that really makes makes the audience to connect a little bit more with.
Yeah,
the-
100%. So basically, yeah. So then people want to be part, like in its basic sense, people want to be part of this project, right?
Yeah, and I remember like when we recorded the voiceover, it was just me and my friend Kyle and Brittany and his boyfriend. We were all just having beers and hanging out in an apartment, and we whip up a mic, and then she just like this amazing performance within like 45 minutes. We have all recorded, and it was very casual. It was like, like very impromptu, but it turned out really really good.
Yeah, gotcha. And so so you tell me about your animation studios. It's Animagic, right?
Yes, yeah, Animagic. I started Animagic back in 2015 along with my business partner. His name is Jordi. We started focusing mainly on marketing and advertising as a motion design studio. To be honest, like the first 3 years, it was a lot of us being freelancers, just being hired for some work, focusing on a lot of commercials and advertising. And then in 2020, we started to grow a little bit. We kind of had a good strike of great clients that started like coming back for the work that we were doing. We started doing some things for entertainment, like some title sequence for a movie here and some other bigger projects here and there. And then back in 2020, we started collaborating and doing a lot of work for Discord, the messaging platform. So we started like basically helping Discord in a lot of their creative needs, doing animation for marketing, for the product team, for the activities team. And that really was the catalyst for us to grow. In 2020, it was just three of us doing this. This film that we're discussing right now, I Had More, it was done entirely, all the animation was done by just four people. That was the entire team of animation. Obviously, we had the music and the voiceover, but the whole production in itself, it was just four people. So after 2020, we were able to grow the studio up to 16 people. Now we're 16 people in total for Animagic. And along with the client work that we've been doing for Discord and other clients,
Yeah.
we have been doing at least, I would say, like one short film a year. That's kind of our goal. And 2021, but 2022, we did Stories to Remember. That was another short film that we actually submitted it to a bunch of festivals. We won the Cannes Short Film Festival Jury Award in 2023 for that one. And then 2022, 2023, we did Canelo, which is the film that we are like submitted to the festivals at the moment right now.
Yeah.
And then very organically, we started like pivoting into the world of video games as well. That's a new thing for us. For the past 3 years, we collaborate with a lot of game developer studios, helping them make some games. Initially, we did all the artistic side of the game. So we'll do the animations, the character, the UI, anything that was required for the game in the creative side. And then last year, we decided to take on the challenge to make our first video game. So we hire our first developers. And right now, instead of making a film this year, we're trying to make a game. And within the game, we have some animations that go inside the game. But along with the game, we're developing an animated series to complement the IP. So it's going to be an animated series paired with the game. And the game is called Stay Dead. That's our new project that we're working on at the moment. So it's been a very organic process, I would say, how we've been growing into what are we right now. The goal for us is to be able to establish the company as almost like two companies. One, the creative services company, which is animation design studio, and then the game development company, which is in charge of developing our first game and hopefully other productions in the future. So that's kind of the state of Animagic right now. We're still going through that transitional period of trying to integrate and grow into the games industry. But at the same time, we continue serving our clients and developing our projects in the creative sides and the animation side. So
Gotcha.
that's that's
Well, that
kind of like
makes
the
total
state.
sense. Well, congratulations. And one last question before we go. We
Yes.
sent the audience to you with the feedback video. What did you think what they had to say about your film?
To be honest, I really loved it. I think there's nothing more rewarding for a filmmaker and animator than to see people reacting to your film. I think for the longest you're kind of working on this project on your own or with your team, but it
Mm,
isn't until you put it out there into the world and then see how people react to it. It's when you kind of like it brings meaning to what we do. It makes you think like, oh, okay, I can create an impact on people's life through this story. So I really love the video reactions that you shared with us. It was really good to see the reactions. It was also very I was happy to see that it was a little bit of an uncomfortable topic for some people. A little like it was like the shock factor was there, and that was also kind of interesting to see. But in general, I really loved to see the reaction. I really appreciate that you guys did that and share with us. I think it was really great because not a lot of festivals do that, and I think that was a thing that really stood out for us.
yeah.
And
Well, I'd love to see more of your work, and I'd love to talk to you again about next projects and to see if this one gets expanded. I understand it's almost like you got some passion films that you want to do, and then you got things you got to do to pay the bills, I guess, right?
exactly. Yes. That's pretty much the balance that we always need to.
Yeah,
We need to play with like keeping those things in
yeah.
check and balance it out. But in this case, I'm really happy that this was our first film. I have a very special place in my heart for this film.
Yeah, it's a great film. It really is. And it's a very important topic as well. So appreciate your time, and hopefully we can talk again when you make your next film.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll definitely submit our film to the festival again, and hopefully we get to talk again soon.